if the others want to join. So once again, welcome to Outreach. Everybody's been here at least once, right? There's Phil. Hey, Phil.
Is he still in Mexico?
He's not in Mexico anymore, right?
Looks like Phil is in his office. No more palm trees.
Oh, I see. No more palm trees and
Yeah.
mojitos.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
Brian, I'm going to need to leave about 2:45, but then I'll try to put you on. I hate to do it on the telephone, but
I don't think it's going to be that long, actually. I don't think the meeting's going to be that long, so I wouldn't worry too much, but thanks.
Hello, everybody else.
Hey,
Fran.
Phil, hi.
Okay, so we're just getting started here. There's a couple people may still show up, but we'll see. Okay, so welcome. This is the Outreach Committee meeting. We haven't been able to do a lot of outreach this year, and that's been disappointing to me. Not that there wasn't any outreach to do, but the library has handled it very well. When we're closed, we're open and stuff. So echoing what the library is doing is really about all we've been able to do this year. We also, the other thing I had hoped we could do more of was stay up with the Stella business, the access. But I think that you'll see on the quarterly programming events, if you haven't read them already, that the library itself is doing a great job of expanding access, which is, I think, all we can do since the money was taken away. And I think we're going to have to wait another year or so to really get back on the supervisor's case, as long as we stay in front of them all the time by keeping, how good the library is. And we all should do that by keeping in touch with our supervisors, I think, right, Jessica? I think we do.
One good method, yep.
Yeah. Okay, the 2021 minutes were, I think, I remember seeing them. Oh, hey, Sheila, hi.
I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's no problem. We're just getting started.
Good.
So the 2021 minutes, I didn't see any problems with. Has anybody got any issues when they were sent?
You
No?
want a motion to approve them?
Please.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay, Phil moves. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
There we go. Sheila beat everybody else. Okay. All in favor then, say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hi, Miriam. We're just approving the minutes, Miriam.
I think of a better way to spend an afternoon than with you all. So,
You're so
especially
sweet.
since I didn't have to leave my desk.
Are you in the same office as Keith? It looks like it. I don't know. No. Anyway, so the February 2021 minutes are approved, and now we'll review the quarterly programming, which I was sent to y'all. And Jessica, would you do that, please? Because you.
Are you okay if I share my screen?
Oh yeah, actually, that would be the best thing. Because I've never figured out how to do that.
Me either.
Okay. Can everybody see the summer 2021 talking points?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. So both myself and Erin Julius, our marketing and communication director, are on this meeting, and we'll just hop back and forth as we've got things to share. As with usual, in your talking points, we try to include some events, some programs, and some new things, so you have a variety of opportunities to share different things depending on what your supervisors are interested in. So the first one is our next big author event. It's Gerard Connolly. He wrote Boy Erased, and he's going to be coming to speak with us virtually towards the end of the month. Towards the end of June, with registration opening at the end of the month. He's a lecturer now, and he talks about his experience in a fundamentalist family and then going through conversion therapy. And now he speaks pretty regularly about his own experience and his thoughts around radical compassion. So we're anticipating some pretty strong turnout for this event. Erin, did you have anything else to share on this one?
Yeah.
Just that it was made into a movie a couple of years ago that was Oscar nominated. So there's going to be some name recognition, if not for the author, for the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
I know
and by
Nicole
conversion therapy, you mean gay conversion therapy, right? Not
yes.
other
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
Okay.
therapy where they're attempting to convert someone
Reprogram or
from
something.
homosexuality to heterosexuality. Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. I was looking over the film adaptation, so I know Nicole Kidman and Russell Crowe. I'm not as familiar with Lucas Hedges, who was the young man in the movie. Do you
I'm
know?
not either. We're all too old to know who he is, I think.
I know
Oh,
who
he's
he
he's
is.
one of those
Good
Gen
for
Z
you.
or something.
Okay, Miriam, tell us who's
The
Lucas
movie
Hedges.
with, Michelle Pfeiffer, the one where she goes to France. Well, whatever. No one's been to the movies in like 18 months, so.
Exactly.
Well, either way, that's our next big author event. We're, like I said, we're anticipating some pretty good turnout for it, but we're always looking to expand the reach of particularly these virtual author events and hitting communities that maybe we haven't targeted before or that don't even hear about the programs and services we have. So please do help us. Registration opens in about a week and a half, and I'll be sure and send you the link so that you can push it out as well. And
Now,
I'm sure Aaron and crew will be marketing.
May I ask a question? I know that we sometimes highlight books that we have in our collection. I presume we have this book in our collection, if
Yes.
not the movie. Yeah.
Yes.
And is that going to be highlighted so that people can, like with a link on the registration page, if they want to read the book, they can simply click and go put it on hold?
Funny you should ask about that. So for some reason, we have a lot of different programmers who create the events listings. And for some reason, often links to the books in our catalog is not included. I don't know why. I just asked somebody to add something this morning, so this is top of mind. I'm creating sort of how to do a really good LibCal listing that'll be sent out to staff in the next couple of weeks. So if it's not already there, it will be there by the time registration opens. And that's something that we're trying to improve across the board.
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Marketing minds think alike. Yeah, right. That was one of my MBA specialties.
Excellent.
And
Anyway,
June
I
is
think
Pride
that's good.
Month, so we're very likely going to have some book lists out about that as well that we can look to in support of it. Any questions, adds, or edits on this one?
I have a question. How long do these events usually last, the author events? Is it like an hour and a half, 2 hours, 1 hour?
Yeah, it depends on the author and how many questions there are from the public. Usually 60 to 90 minutes would be a good time frame for us.
Okay. And then the second question, I guess, is do these authors, do we pay them to do this, or are they just promoting their books? Or okay. All right.
Yeah, so most of the time we pay them. Sometimes we have local authors that will do it just for the exposure or because they love their community or their local branch. But generally, we have a budget specifically for programming, system-wide programming, and we pull money from there to pay author honoraria. Yeah.
Got it.
And the foundation helps sometimes, right?
Absolutely. The foundation helps with events and programs, and the costs vary widely. So
yeah, I remember we used to give money for things.
Yeah, Chris and Hannah.
Sometimes I would choke.
Yes.
$10,000.
Well, so Chris and Hannah was our last big author event, and I think it was in the 5 digits. That feels about right. I don't remember specifically how much. I do remember we tried to get Michelle Obama when her book came out, and it was in the 6 digits, and we thought, oh no, that's not happening. Oh no. We love you, but no.
Good rule of thumb is if you have marketing and communications office doing promotion, so that's like flyers, promotion outside of social media, we've paid for it because we try to give that extra boost. We can't give an extra boost to everything, so we do give it certainly to everybody that we're paying for. And then local author events usually just get highlighted on social media and in branch as branch staff season.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks. Any other questions on this one? If not, we go to the next one, which I think is, I have it
Phil had a
stored on
question.
mine.
Phil is raising his hand, Brian.
Oh, Phil has.
Yeah. Question one, maybe a year or so back, I went to the Poet Library, and I'm bad on names and the name of the book. It was a young man that, basically wrote a book about the drug trade in Miami, like where he grew up. And my mindset says that he wasn't paid, he was there and, selling his book. So is there a way that maybe we would do more of these with, I'll use the word young authors, but the idea that they come for free and then hopefully they'll sell 5 or 10 books. And
So we do that. We don't we don't usually do book sales when they're in our library facilities, but through our partner organization, Fall for the Book, the Northern Virginia Book Festival, that's the service model we tend to use, where we will pay for an author, but they also have an opportunity to sell their books as well. We haven't done as much in our own branch, because the whole point is that we're offering materials to the public to use through the taxpayer dollars they have. But that doesn't preclude us from doing it in the future if there's like a need to do it. We would much rather just pay the honoraria and give them some money up front, because there's no guarantee that they're going to sell books. So if you've got author suggestions, just send them our way.
We've also had in several of the jubilees we had while I was chairing the foundation, we did have local authors or fairly new authors who would give a little talk and sell books, and we'd have book sales from, I can't remember the name, the first something.
First Page.
First Page books, yeah, would come and offer books that were, and we tried, I guess it was at the Burke Center Jubilee, where we tried to have author tables around, and that didn't work really well. I mean, it worked okay for a couple of the authors. They got to actually meet people, and people got to meet them and find out about them, but some of the others didn't. So
Yeah.
Anyway, it's an interesting idea. I think we can play with it. Yes, Phil.
I attended, I was saying, because it was POHIC, I guess I don't remember who sponsored, but like you just said, right, there were a number of authors, I've called local authors, and I bought several books because I was interested.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
One more question, maybe a little off. And again, when you get old, you forget names. I read the Wall Street Journal. Sometimes I send Jessica some article that was sitting in their library. But a few weeks back, there was a lady, and I forget her name. And I'll make point. She was let's say, a very liberal author. And what the content that she wrote about, it was like dealing with women's issues, was like controversial. And though they banned her book, so I'm not sure who they are, but her book was banned. And she said she really liked it when her book was banned, because then people take an interest in it and they want to read it. So with that said, like, do we at times reach out? I don't know where books are banned. I don't buy books like that, but do we try to look at this, and if somebody's book, whatever subject it's on, is banned, do we try to get that in the library because there may be some interest in that type of book?
So we, like many libraries, celebrate Banned Books Week, which is in the fall. And that's a time when we try and highlight books that have been banned for various reasons. And they really run the gamut. The one that I have never been able to wrap my head around is Babar. Do you remember the kids' book with the elephant? Babar was banned in some places in the 1900s because Babar's mom, I think, is killed by poachers in the book. And so the school or the library or whatever it was banned it because of that particular content. So things get banned for all kinds of reasons. And we like to celebrate those materials and make sure that people are aware of all the different reasons that things might get banned over time. So yes, there are lots of opportunities for us to do that. And while we don't purposefully buy things because they're banned, we don't shy away from it either. We want to make sure that we have a broad and deep collection for people to read from.
Thank you.
I think Sheila had her hand up.
I just have one more question about paying authors. The last author event I attended was Hobson. He wrote Crooked, I think it was. And we were partnering, the library was partnering with One Page to sell his books. And how often do we do that? And is there a reason that we only partner with One Page and not, say, Bard's Alley, which is in Vienna, or this one here in Reston, Scroll Books, another independent.
And we do partner with those various booksellers as well. We've partnered with Scroll before and Bard's Alley on different programs. Sometimes it just depends on when we're in a physical situation where the library is located and which distributors are available to attend an event. I don't know particularly why this one was chosen for that event.
But I think
anything to add on that one?
But I do think that's a nice option because the independent bookstores are fighting for their lives as well as as the library. And
Absolutely.
we're not fighting for our lives, but we're promoting, partnering with those independent bookstores. I think is a nice idea.
Nice.
Suzanne has her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the Friends of the Virginia Room on several occasions have done book markets highlighting local history authors, people in the area who are writing books of local interest. I must say the last one we had planned was for a Sunday afternoon in December, and it was, of course, snowed out that morning. The branch closed. So, but that's another thing that's been done.
Sure, and Book Center Friends, we do that for our annual meeting every once in a while and bring an author in. And I think other friends groups do. So there's lots of ways to do that.
Right.
But,
Right.
Anyway, any other questions about the first bullet? No. Let's go to new hours. That excites me.
So, like all of you on the board, we as staff were really disappointed when the money was no longer available to export the first phase of expanded and consistent hours. And we've spent part of the pandemic trying to think about how we can still support the community and provide at least a sliver of those hours, even without any additional funding. And the model that we had originally been using for expanded and consistent hours required additional staffing for community libraries to expand, but didn't require additional staffing for regional libraries, because effectively we're just taking Thursday night hours and adding them to Sundays. And we thought, what better time to transition than when everything is already in flux and when we are coming out of the pandemic and resuming normal service operations. So at whatever time this happens, which, now that many of the restrictions are being eased and we're seeing changes from the governor's office, maybe sooner rather than later, we are going to put into place a new set of hours for all of our library branches. Our regional libraries will be open 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This will give us a full day of Sunday operations at the expense of Thursday evenings. And we are changing community branches to 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So community libraries will actually be losing an evening, but gaining consistency across the board. We're hoping that this will lead to really good data from those full day Sundays at regional locations that we can then use to help push additional funding for this full set of hours for those community locations. This is definitely different, and we're still working through some of the scheduling questions and challenges that crop up. But the nice part is we wanted to do this in part to provide those consistent hours and full day Sunday access, but we're also incorporating a staffing model change where we are, through attrition, removing our part-time Sunday manager positions. And instead we are offering, we're taking, in effect, 2 vacant part-time positions and creating 1 new full-time position. So we've got additional full-time positions we've got for our staff, additional info side, full-time management positions, and a better career ladder opportunity. So it's still, we're calling it new and expanded hours phase 0.5 because it's not quite the first full phase that we had hoped for, but it's what we can do for now. And we're hoping that it's just that first step in the ladder to get us all the way there.
So did it come up at all? Because the funny thing is, when I first read this, I thought, oh, what a good idea. And then I thought, if we make it a little better, does that mean the urgency of making it all better gets reduced? That was my next, maybe we should just keep it as difficult as possible so that there is an urgent, especially about Sunday hours. I mean, the lack of Sunday hours is a big deal. And so now you're fixing that but there's less urgency around, oh, well, we lost Thursday hours, a little less impetus, you know what I mean? So yes, one could say, oh, people will celebrate us, those who care, and say, look what they did with limited funds, think what they could do with more funds. But on the other hand, the board could say, hey, look what you did with limited funds. Good job. Keep doing that.
Well, and part of the hinge here is we have seen such strong usage of the part-time Sunday hours that we've had over the past. We're anticipating having really strong data going forward that Sundays are a vital and well-used aspect of what we offer the public. So if we go back later and say, here is your actual hard data, you can see how Sundays are the busiest day of the week for us. Do you want us to shift so that we're not open on like Fridays? But then we're going to have to change our staffing model again. We're not thinking that there's going to be a lot of uptake from that on a political spectrum. We want to make sure that we can go back in for an ask when there is actually money to do so and have the data that you all need to make an informed pitch for our politicians.
Yeah, no, I get it. And we'll work with whatever is going on.
I know it's not perfect. And it would certainly, I was not here for this period of time, but I've heard stories told of days gone by, and maybe Fran or Sheila or Suzanne can respond to it, where the library took a budget cut years and years and years ago. And when we were consistently asked to do more with less, more with less, and more and less, they stopped providing phone service on Sundays and stopped providing programming on Sundays to show, like that we just can't do anymore. And then there was the hope that there would be a lot of public outcry about this loss of services, and it didn't work out that way. So this is kind of the opposite tactic. We're hoping that by offering something that they really want and will utilize, we'll be able to generate a lot of public goodwill and user data that will allow us to make a stronger pitch for funding in the future.
That's true. And there aren't regional libraries in every district. Braddock, for example, does not have one. And so the Braddock district supervisor, I'm going to be pushing him to say, we need to open up some community libraries, hopefully Kings Park.
Yeah.
Yes, let's see. I've got 3 hands up here. Sheila, then Sujatha, then Suzanne. Is that it? Yeah. Sheila, please.
Okay. I think that this is a great idea, especially the Sunday full hours at the regionals. How will I envision that there'll be great disappointment for the 2 evenings closed at the communities. And how would we collect data that is needed?
Great question.
Yeah.
So communities prior to the pandemic were only open 3 evenings a week. So they're losing one evening of service.
Okay.
And if the Board of Supervisors chooses to fund whatever next phasing of expanded hours, community libraries would get back an evening shift as well as a full day on Sunday. So it's one more leverage point as you're looking forward that this is how we really want to fully fund our libraries. It will certainly be difficult to compare numbers because of the weird pandemic data that we've got right now, but we'll be able to look at utilization prior to the pandemic on those evening hours and post-pandemic on those evening hours, and hopefully tell a solid case from that we're either shoving people into other days or into other evenings, or we're losing usership because they were using only on that one Thursday evening that's not available anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
Sujatha? I'm just going in order on my screen here.
Thank you very much. Jessica, 2 questions. Well, 1 question, 1 comment. I'm assuming that this shuffling of hours was not any change in FTEs. It's same employees, just shuffling.
Yeah, we have so many vacancies right now that we've been able to find enough of them to create these new full-time positions with, which is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second comment. I was thinking about that same data collection that Sheila just spoke about. Like how do we collect the data on communities missing their evening, et cetera. This goes to sort of like just a general thing I'm throwing out there with regard to advocacy in general. I think that very often we need to really, really just strategically re-envision the way that we collect data from missing populations, you know what I mean? Because we don't often collect data from people who are quiet, right? Like like on Twitter, my pinned tweet is that the people who need most to speak to the school board never speak to the school board. They don't sign up to speak to the school board. So you don't get that data from people who you don't, are not in the habit of contributing their thoughts to the community. So you just think it's a huge, vast swaths of people whose input we don't get, and who may be the people, we don't know this, I don't know, could be the people that would be missing those community evenings. I don't know. But every time I hear any time that we're trying to collect data that is just, we wouldn't know because it's missing data, I just want us all, like, especially in terms of outreach, to be bending our brains around how we manage to think of new strategies to collect data from missing parts of our constituency or our population. I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm always thinking about it. How do we collect stories from people who do not contribute their stories? And there are just so many, there's so many. So I don't know, it's just something to throw out there for us to think about.
And Brian, if you are interested in having this committee work on that topic, we would love any additional help, because we tend to collect fairly traditional data patterns. And Erin and her crew have done an awesome job of trying to get anecdotal stories from the community. But we also have this really lovely and kind of odd tenet that we try and protect people's confidentiality. That's like a cornerstone library service, which makes it hard for us to bisect a lot of the data that we do have access to. So Brian, if you had an interest, we would be happy to have your help on that.
Okay, I am interested in having the committee help on that. Sujatha, you obviously having suggested
I
it.
don't know, like, here's the thing, Brian, I'll just say frankly to everybody here, I am always thinking, like, I wake up thinking about that, I go to bed thinking about it all the time, but I have not necessarily found the solution. For example, just, we're trying to do this literacy advocacy from the NAACP. One of the things we'd like to collect is anecdotal, anecdotal data, information about people who have been, how have people been served by their literacy instruction in school. Same thing, Jessica, that you're saying. We want you just can't go willy-nilly with people's private stories of their pain, of their left outness, of how the school has not served them, etc. You can't just be all like, it's a very, very delicate balance. But considering this public service that, I think that we have an extraordinary library system, that I'm only learning more and more about how extraordinary we are. I feel like in the surrounding community, I just think that this library system is capable of a lot more than people even know, in terms of just collecting data that would be so useful to everybody. So I don't have the answer, Brian, but I do think about it.
No, I wouldn't expect you to have the answer, but I think if you'd be interested in helping a little bit, and in Jessica's case, I think it would be, if we point it directly at this question, at this issue of changing hours, I think we can tell our supervisors now, right? Because it's on our list here.
Yeah, there's no data
stuff
associated with it,
right.
but you're welcome to share.
Well, no, that's, and I wonder if the library can consider, I hate questionnaires to a great extent, but just, we're thinking of this when the libraries reopen. These are the hours we're going to have. If you have any feedback on that, please let us know, and let the customers know, say that if they want. And again, unfortunately, you get to the point where it's certain customers will answer, the squeaky wheels and all, and many won't, right? And I know that, Jeff, in the past.
Yeah.
But I think we should do that. And Suzanne, you have your hand up too, so I wanted to
Okay.
see what you had to say.
So Jessica, from what you said, I'm assuming we will be answering the phones again on Sunday.
Yes.
We'll have full staffing on Sunday like we do on Saturday and Friday.
Yep.
And before we open to those hours, will you have all the vacant positions filled? Or how are you
that
gonna
would be
pull
lovely,
that off?
wouldn't it? No, I mean, we always have vacancies. So there's never been a point in time when we haven't had positions vacant.
Right.
There's certainly a lot of them right now.
Right.
But no, the reopening schedule is not contingent upon filling a certain number of positions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking it could be really tight for the first couple months for staff.
It could, but the kind of nice thing, I guess, is that we are still having a really slow roll in of getting back to our normal utilization. It's been pretty quiet in many of the branches. So now is a nice time to be able to transition when it's not as busy as it will be later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And
Thank you.
you're welcome. And Brian, I should clarify, when I said a moment ago, you are all welcome to share this with your supervisors. I anticipate being able to tell you all when the date for this change is going to be in like the next 2 or 3 days. So
I
if you
had
don't
a
mind
feeling.
waiting just a little bit, then I can give you a much fuller picture that you can share with them. But it is not, I mean, this is a public meeting. It's not confidential, but you'll have more to give them if you wait till like Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phil, you had your hand up?
Brian, the only concern I have with your idea on a survey is if I get the survey and I'm kind of happy with it, then I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
And all we would get, you probably is something, oh, well, why can't you be open Sunday till 9 o'clock? You're going to get the people that aren't going to necessarily like what you've done. I want to compliment Jessica, during these times, and by doing this, we ought to emphasize that everything we do, that we're doing all this, opening ours up, expanding it, and we're doing it again, basically not an increase in taxpayer money. Everybody likes to hear that, and I commend you for doing it. So I wouldn't be for, trying to dig out the negative people who don't, want it extended another hour or two, or whatever they would say. I don't think you would get the feedback that we would need.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions, Fran?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
Keith as
I
well.
typed it into the chat, but I wonder, when I was looking at the chart of, and wondered if, hours, if overnight returns, counting them or doing a sample count would give you an
Good idea.
indication of people who came to the library.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't say they came to the library to go, because they may have just come to return the books, but it could give you an indication of, X number of people stopped by on Wednesday night, Thursday night, or actually all you would find out is X number of books are returned on the nights we were closed. But but something like some comparison to, say a sampling before we change the hours might be some kind of an indication.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's all I can think of, except a survey.
Keith? You had your hand up?
Yeah. I was going to say something as a follow-up to Sujata's point, which is that, we could utilize the data on which libraries patterns, look at the library patterns, and we can make an association with which libraries generally serve different types of populations. All the data is out there, so it would be the next step of bringing the data together and seeing which libraries were affected how. But the problem is, like what Jessica said, is that people are trickling back in, so you can't. What are you comparing it to? What data?
Yeah.
From what year? But that would be one way to start looking at that data one step further than just having that initial data.
Yeah, we were talking about using heat maps in the fine review committee about trying to overlay, because we don't collect demographic data for our patrons, but we can make some decent assumptions based off of zip code data and people that typically use different branch facilities. We might be able to do something similar for this as well.
Okay. Let's see, Sheila?
Last thing, and this is just an idea, and we're talking about surveys and people, not wanting to talk in their privacy. More than a few years ago, the library did something that I thought was, well, to be frank, I thought it was probably the stupidest thing I'd ever seen, and it turned out to be one of the most interesting and successful. I think it was called "I Love My Library."
Oh yeah.
They had Post-it notes. And people said the most remarkable things. It was positive, it was heartfelt, there were some negatives. And I've seen it done in public, other places where people are very happy to write things anonymously on a chart, on something, where, so we might have a campaign once we're really open full time and people are coming back, and have something along those lines where it's anonymous and people can talk about why they come to the library, whatever we want to have some sort of a theme that we're collecting. It wouldn't be as accurate as data from how many books were brought back at the, in the evening, which I think is a good idea. But
It's not a bad idea.
but it's something. It's another way of collecting data without walking around with a tape recorder and a microphone.
Actually,
asking
it's actually
people.
a really great idea with regard to collecting authentic anecdotal data. So I mean, and you could post the signage to do that, in multiple languages. You could invite people to write on their Post-it note in multiple languages, say that there's let them know that we are soliciting their feedback on anything they want to tell us about the library. You could solicit their feedback specifically about ours. It's actually a very simple way to collect anecdotal, qualitative data, in fact, but then the correlating, the collating, the gathering of that data becomes, sometimes overwhelming. And, I am well known already in my short tenure for giving Jessica and Team FCPL lots of things to do.
We don't mind.
I think the staff actually likes that. I remember that I thought the same thing. It's like, who's going to write on these notes? Well, I forget how many at Burke Center, which is a fairly small branch, although we do get a lot of people in. They ran through, because they put it on a poster and they kept having to remake the poster because so many people put up notes and they loved to read them. They thought it was really neat. And I presume it all got forwarded up, up the chain and put together in some sort of a way. And I guess we could ask in some general way, are you happy that the libraries are now reopened? And oh, by the way, do you like our new hours or something like that?
You can, you can ask the questions speaking of someone who's my dissertation was qualitative, right? So when you do qualitative, data research, rather, you have to be so careful. You have to be careful of the way that you ask for data to make sure you're not leading the question. So are you happy with this? Suggest that people should say, yes, I'm happy with it, or not saying anything. Right?
Well, what do you think about?
What we're doing. Because if it's for data collection, it's one purpose, right? But if it's just to make the community happy and to engage in an ongoing conversation, that's a completely different purpose. So, it depends on whether we actually would be looking at this as an actual means of gathering qualitative data for research purposes, or whether we are looking at it as an outreach thing for our community. Which is also legitimate. I'm not saying one is more important than the other. I'm saying that you would be gathering different data if you look at it with a different purpose, and then you would be asking different questions. That's all.
So it certainly has to be thought about between the staff and the outreach committee members are happy to do that with you, Jeff.
Yeah, I wrote down, I think that the actual gathering of qualitative data would be more helpful. Because if you're looking to use this, if we're just gathering data that says, yes, I love the library, here are all the reasons why, that's not really going to help your case if you're asking for more money. But if you ask a question like, how do you feel about the library reopening with new hours, not putting any personal bias or emotion into it, just leaving an open slate for people to fill in, it could be positive and negative. And if you have negative responses as well, that's okay, because that shows that you have lots of different people that use the library already who feel a variety of ways.
And you can honestly ask, because people are very often much happier, especially if you see a board of positive sticky notes in beautiful colors, they're happier to stick a positive sticky note up there, right? But if you have something negative to say, you may not even want to do that. So you might find yourself, you have to have another place for people to quietly put their concern or their issue or whatever into this box. You can put it in here or you can stick it up there. So I mean, I'm just saying that there are lots of ways to do qualitative research that actually would yield anecdotal data that is qualitatively sound and to make a case with.
I like the idea of doing a sheet that's got 3 sections. So how do you feel about the library reopening with new hours? The good, the bad, and the doodle a picture about how you're feeling over here. Because we have some people who are more akin to drawing their feelings than writing them out.
Yeah, and that means it all yields data if you're looking at it like that. If it's if the research study is designed mindfully, it can actually yield all kinds of wealths of data that you didn't even know you would get. Sheila, that was really a very interesting, good thought to stick into the
Thank you.
the mix today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any comments on the new hours? See any other hands? Okay, what's the next one? Josh?
Next
Bell.
up, I am going to make Aaron talk about this more than me because I am, dun dun dun, I'm sorry, not a huge baseball fan. But I have heard great things about Josh Bell, who I now know is a baseball player. See?
Yes, I didn't know that either. So don't feel bad.
That's an excellent segue because it turns out most of our audience is not, they're not baseball fans. There's not a lot of overlap between library users and baseball fans from what I can tell. So registration opened for FCPL cardholders and Prince George's Memorial cardholders Thursday, which is 24 hours before the general public. It has not done well on our social media. I have to say, I'm not terribly surprised. Josh Bell is very new to the Nationals. It's not like this is with the Ryan Zimmerman book club and, you know, he's a local hero. And Josh Bell is also not having a great season. I went down a weird Twitter trail last week about how he might get bumped back to the AAA in the minor leagues. So
He started hitting this weekend.
well, that's good.
Good.
So it's a long way of saying this one especially needs help. It is a series, so while the first one is May 23rd, that's being facilitated by a Prince George's County librarian. I think the June one is going to be facilitated by someone from our staff, and the August one, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah,
So
we're going
this
back
really
and forth on
helps throughout the summer. So just have that in your back pocket if you're talking baseball with anybody. Any questions about that one?
Do we have any baseball fans in the group that can?
Well, I like baseball. I don't particularly care for the Nats, but that's okay. I know some of the names, but I didn't know. I mean, Josh Bell sounded vaguely familiar, but I guess because he's new, I had no idea he was local. My problem is that I have been in some book clubs, but I'm not real big on book clubs. So it says Josh Bell Book Club. So right there is sort of a unknown and turn off. And then when I read through it, I'm also not particularly into self-help stuff. So I'm not going to be involved. So,
You are not our target audience.
no, I'm not. So I'm just putting that out there. But that's why when I read that, it was not exciting to me, except, I don't know, maybe if we get tickets to a ball game or something, but whatever.
Nope.
Well,
I'll
and
sign
then
up.
Miriam has a.
This would target my husband, who's both a Nats fan and a mental health therapist. So you get both of them. But is he actually leading a book club on Zoom? Is that what this is?
well, so that's the third thing is it is virtual. So it's not like you're going to be able to get a selfie with a Nats player or something, that.
But he is going to be there. Yes,
He is going to be there, and it is
he's
he's sort of co-facilitating with local librarians.
Yes.
And where do people register on the library site? On the
And so there is a news story on the library site, and when these talking points were drafted, the Nats hadn't put the registration page up yet, and then there were some errors on it. All of that has been corrected now. As of Friday, so the registration actually happens on the Nats website.
And
what are you saying? Like, how many people were you hoping would register?
So I want to be clear. This is a Nats initiative, and they approached us about partnering.
I get it.
And so we have had. So our staff, there is one assistant branch manager who has been somewhat involved. I had to honestly really insert myself just to get the information we needed to promote.
I'll jump in here real quick. We love our partners at the Nats. Aaron and I just are not really baseball savvy, so we've been partnering with other staff in our agency. So James Cullen, who's the assistant branch manager at the Sherwood Regional Library, is a huge Nats fan and a great baseball guy. So he is the one who is co-facilitating at least the first of these sessions for us. And it sounds like the Nats have worked out most of the issues with the registration site at this point. So if you either go to the library's website or to the Nats site, you should be able to hunt it down from there, or I can send the link around again. Aaron and I don't have any strong expectations about how many people to have participate. We just want to really get the word out, because this could be a really fun program, particularly for people who are maybe a little bit more reluctant to talk about self-help or mental health. This is a different way to come at it, and we want to support that.
So there is a cap of registration of
Brian, I need to check out. I'm going to try to get it on the phone when I'll try to.
You can if you want. It's up to you. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Who was talking?
So that I was just clarifying that there is a cap of registration of 450, but that was set by the Nats, not by us.
And that's
that would be
across
the goal.
library systems?
Yes.
For everybody.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah,
cap
right.
of 450 in this virtual book club.
Yep.
I haven't heard where we are with that, but I checked this morning, and you can still register. So they haven't hit it yet.
Okay.
They advertise it on every Nats game. Josh Bell comes on and talks. He's very articulate, but they don't really tell you on those ads how to get involved. That was my feeling.
Right.
Oh, okay. Sheila?
I just have to say that it's too bad his name is Josh Bell, because the first thing I thought was Joshua Bell, the violinist. So
Oh, yeah. There is some confusion there.
Close, very, very close.
And the other thing I'm going to say is that I'm not into sports, but I will definitely make a point to become more involved in this. But the friends of mine who are big baseball fans are very, I don't know, I hate to say intellectual, but they follow baseball almost like a Zen type of experience. I mean, it's just amazing. And I think that Bishop, the poet, what's her first name? Something Bishop. She's written a whole thing about baseball, poetry about baseball. So I think we all should just sharpen ourselves up on this and talk it up when we can. So that's those are my 2 cents.
Okay. So any other comments or questions?
Promoted.
Oh, yes. Oh, no. Okay. Summer reading adventure. That's good.
Yeah, so this is
Coming
one of our,
again.
we tend to put this on here every year just as a good reminder, and with any updates that we have going on. Summer reading is one of our cornerstone events that we have every time when school goes out and the weather gets warmer. And because this has been such a funky year, we decided to change it up a little bit and try and make summer reading as easy as possible for anyone who wants to participate. So all of our summer reading programs are on the same platform, Beanstack. And instead of requiring a certain amount of books this year for any different age range, it's just the amount of time you read. So you are divided into different age categories: preschool, school age, teens, and adults. And we're asking people to read 100 minutes, which for those of us who are big time readers, you will knock that out in a very short amount of time.
In about 100 minutes.
I know, exactly. It's not going to take you very long to get through that.
One book.
Yeah. One of the nice features about the new application we have, Beanstack, is that it can promote some friendly rivalry, might we say, that you can post in there things that you've read and how it's going, and maybe develop a little back and forth with friends or colleagues about books that you're reading and goals that you're reaching, make it a little bit more social.
So it's
Erin,
kind of like Goodreads. Is it kind of like Goodreads in a way?
Yeah, kind of. Erin, did you have any ads for this one?
I'll just add, it is while we are encouraging everyone to use the digital platform Beanstack, there are going to be paper reading logs available. The summer issue of Branch Out is also themed around the summer reading adventure. There's a feature story about the summer slide and, you know, why summer reading is important. And we also have a paper version of the log in there. So for access reasons, equality of access, there will be paper logs available. And people who fill those out and turn them in by, I think, August 11th will be eligible to win prizes. So.
And you're getting money from friends groups and things, right? We always give some.
Yes, and all
so
of that,
you
there are
have
call outs to the friends groups
coupons
and
all that
such
stuff.
in
Yeah.
Branch Out. Yeah.
Yeah, the little coupons of for what they get.
Yes.
Good.
I don't
Yeah,
think
it's very popular. I know at everywhere. I've
Yeah,
ever heard.
we're
Just-
having some of the same
love it.
prizes this year, but some of them are a little bit different. Like we're entering people in raffles this year.
Yeah.
We also had some leftover funds from friends
Mhm.
groups and other entities last year for summer reading that we were able to roll over.
Well, I tell you, the kids especially, but sometimes the adults really use them at book sales, and we will have book sales someday. So
We
the
will.
book sale coupons are always good. You know, $2 for books, something like that, $5 worth of books, whatever it is. Anyway, great. I love the SRT. It used to be SRA. Right? Okay. Any other comments or questions on summer reading? Junior Library Guild.
Yeah, this is our last one. And like I said, we like to try and offer a couple different things, programs, events, new stuff. And this is actually a new reading application. The Library of Virginia received some extra money from the Institute Museum and Library Services this year. And they chose to purchase a subscription to the Junior Library Guild, which is, if you use Libby or if you had used RB Digital, it's just another reading app that you can do. This one you can access through our databases. And the nice part with this application is that all of the materials are unlimited access. So you don't have to wait in line on hold for something. They're all available all the time. And it's only for children. It's for K through 12th grade, I believe. It's got both ebooks and e-audio, and some of them are really cute. I was scrolling through in advance of this meeting, and I found a book in Spanish that was all about boa constrictors, and it had a boa constrictor that was stretching across every page of the little book. It was very sweet. So in my experience, just this brief little tidbit that I was looking in there for, really good nonfiction stuff for little kids, but I'm sure there is a much greater depth to it as well. And they're going to continue to refresh the collection for the duration of our purchase of it. So our thanks to the Library of Virginia for paying for this and giving us access to it. And hopefully we'll have some good usage from our little people in our community.
Great. Okay, I appreciate all this stuff, Jessica, and we can pass it along to the rest of the board at the next board meeting, right?
Absolutely.
Are there any other comments or questions about programming or other events? I don't have any. Are there any other items that people would like to raise? No? I don't have any. Is Fran still here?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Fran. You don't have anything else you want to pass along to task outreach with, do you? Fran's not listening.
I'm sorry. No, I don't have.
I was just asking as chair if there was anything you wanted to.
Did he say my name? He did.
Yeah,
Sorry.
did you want to dump something down on outreach? No. Okay. I don't have anything else then, unless somebody else does, we can adjourn. Hi, Phil.